So you've been dumping your photos into the cloud like some kind of digital sheep, trusting big tech with your vacation pictures and probably some other questionable screenshots. Well, congratulations, you're basically a walking data mine with legs. But what if I told you there's a way to take back control without sacrificing the convenience of having your photos everywhere? Well, enter Immich, the self-hosted photo manager that's actually good enough to make you want to delete your cloud subscriptions. And before you ask, yes, this is another why you should self-host video, but stick around because I'm about to show you something that might actually change your mind on how you store your digital memories. Immich is basically what happens when developers get tired of paying monthly subscriptions and decide to build their own photo backup system. It's open source, which means it's free, and you can actually see what the code is doing instead of wondering if your beach photos are being used to train some AI to recognize what sandcastles are. The interface does look suspiciously similar to a certain search giant's photo service, and that's entirely intentional. The developer said, let's copy all the good stuff and none of the privacy invasion. And here's what you get: automatic phone backup that actually works, facial recognition that won't send your family's faces to advertising companies, smart search powered by AI models that run on your hardware, timeline browsing that doesn't make you want to throw your device, multi-user support for when your family inevitably discovers your setup, as well as duplicate detection because we all have 47 nearly identical photos of our pets. And here's the cherry on top: it's fast, like stupidly fast. We're talking about thumbnail generation and search that makes cloud services look like they're running on potato servers. Now, some of you might be thinking, why would I want to manage my own photo server when I could just pay a few bucks a month and forget about it? Well, buckle up because I'm about to hit you with some math that will make your wallet cry. Let's talk numbers. That cheap cloud storage isn't really that cheap. Basic plans start at $1 to $2 a month, but let's be honest, no one really stays on those. Most people end up on the 200 gigabyte plans at $3 a month because phones now take 4K videos and you're probably using them to take videos of your cats. And power users hit the 2 terabyte tier at $10 a month because apparently we're all digital hoarders. So that's $3 becomes $36 a year, which becomes $360 over the next decade. The 2 terabyte tier, that's $120 a year, or $1,200 over a decade. And that's assuming they never raise prices, which is as likely as me organizing my desk. Meanwhile, a decent self-hosting setup runs around $200 to $400 upfront, a used mini PC, some storage drives, maybe a UPS if you're feeling fancy, add electricity costs of maybe $50 to $100 annually, and you're still way ahead financially. But here's the kicker: for that $400 hardware investment, you can easily get 4 to 8 terabytes of storage. Not the measly 200 gigabytes that cost $360 over 10 years. That's literally 20 to 40 times more storage for the same long-term cost. Plus, you actually own your data instead of renting access to it. When was the last time a cloud service went down and you couldn't access your photos? Or when you realized every face in your library was being analyzed for advertising purposes? With Immich, your photos stay on your hardware, processed by your CPU with your rules. And the trade-off? You have to learn something and occasionally troubleshoot why your facial recognition system thinks that your dog is your uncle. Alright, I am assuming you already got Docker, and if not, go and do that first and stop being lazy. So let's get Immich running. And yes, I'm skipping the basic Docker explanation because I already covered that and I'm not your personal IT tutor. Create a directory for Immich. I like to keep things organized, unlike my actual photo library. Now let's download the official Docker Compose file and the environment template. Now comes the part where you actually have to think. Open the .env file and modify a few things. The upload location. This is where your photos will live. Make sure that you have enough space because if you're like me, you have thousands of photos of food and you'll never have to eat again. The DB password. Change this from Postgres to literally anything else. I mean it. Don't be that person who gets pawned because they use default passwords. And now, finally, the moment of truth. Let's hit it with the Docker Compose up to see if it works. Now let's navigate to your server IP :2283, which is the default port for Immich. And you should see the Immich setup screen. Create your admin account and try not to forget the password immediately, because unlike your cloud services, there's no forgot password link that magically fixes your poor life decisions. And here's where Immich actually gets interesting: storage templates. This is basically how you tell Immich to organize your photos on disks, and it's way more flexible than just dumping everything into one massive folder like some kind of unorganized person. And by default, Immich uses this format, which creates folders like this. And that's fine, I guess, if you enjoy having 365 folders per every day of the year. But you can customize this. Want everything organized by year and a month? Use this format for folders like this. Want album-based organization? Try this. And the best part, when you change your template, you can run a migration job to reorganize all your existing photos. It's like Marie Kondo for your digital life, except it actually works and doesn't require you to thank your photos for their service. And a small pro tip, set this up before you upload like 50,000 photos. Trust me on this. I learned the hard way, and by learned, I mean I spent 3 hours wondering why my server was spinning at full throttle. The mobile apps are where immich really shines, assuming you can get past the fact that it's not available on your smart refrigerator. Yet. Download the app from your usual app stores, and yes, there's even a beta channel if you enjoy living dangerously. Set up your app using the server URL, which we use to access immich, and voila. The backup features are actually smart. You can choose which folders to sync, set it to Wi-Fi only to avoid destroying your data plan, and even do selective uploads. There's this neat storage indicator that shows which photos are local only versus synced, which is perfect for those of us who are paranoid as fuck. Whereas background sync on Android is smooth sailing, background sync on iOS is a bit more complicated. Apple basically decides whether your app deserves to run in the background based on a mysterious algorithm, and probably also includes your astrological sign somehow. Enable background app refresh and use the app regularly, and sacrifice a small offering to the iOS gods for the best results. Now let's talk about the features that separate immich from just being another Dropbox with a photo viewer. Facial recognition works surprisingly well for something running on your potato server. It's not going to compete with big tech's creepy facial recognition, but it'll find photos of your family without sending their biometric data to Silicon Valley. You can merge faces, hide people, and even set birth dates because apparently some people organize photos by age. The AI search uses clip models running locally. Search for beach sunset or dog playing or cat photos, and it actually finds the relevant photos. Your embarrassing search history stays local, which is more than I can say for most AI services nowadays. Sharing is actually well thought out. You can share individual photos, albums, or create public links with expiration dates and password protection. Perfect for sharing vacation photos with relatives without giving them access to your entire digital life. And currently, the built-in duplicate detection is decent, but not perfect. For serious duplicate hunting, there are third-party tools that use fancy AI or whatever algorithms to find similar images, because we need a machine learning to tell us that we took the same photo 17 different times. Partner sharing lets you share your entire library with someone else, which is either romantic or the setup for a very awkward breakup conversation. Choose your partner wisely, in image and in life as well. Immich supports XMP sidecar files for metadata, and if you don't know what those are, you probably don't need them. And if you do, you're probably already excited about this feature and planning on your migration strategy onto immich. Now, let's talk about backups, because immich is great until your hard drive decides to become a very expensive paperweight. Follow the 3-2-1 rule. 3 copies of your data, 2 different storage devices, and 1 offsite. Immich automatically create database dumps daily, but that's just metadata. You still need to back up your actual photos. The simplest approach is to basically back up the database as well as the upload folder, and that's basically it. There are fancy automated scripts available if you enjoy complex cron jobs and inevitable 3 a.m. phone calls for when they are going to break. Popular backup tools include Borg, Restic, and good old rsync. Some people get really elaborate with offsite NAS systems and encrypted cloud storage. Others just copy everything into an external drive monthly and pray to the data gods that, if need be, it does work. Remember, immich is still under active development. That means it's stable, but stable doesn't really mean that you should bet your entire photo collection on this without any backups. Now, for the reality check, because I'm not a shill and this isn't any sponsored content. Immich is still rapidly evolving, which means occasional breaking changes and the joy of reading release notes. The mobile app can struggle with massive libraries. If you have more than 100,000 photos, do expect some lag and an occasional crash. Hardware requirements can be steep if you want all the AI features. Facial recognition and smart search are CPU intensive. Hardware acceleration will help, but does require compatible GPU drivers and sacrifices to the Linux drivers gods to get them set up. Furthermore, storage use can be surprising. Immich does generate thumbnails, preview images, and stores metadata separately, so do budget around 20 to 30% more extra space beyond your original photos. Importing existing libraries is an adventure. Immich does have opinions on how all photos should be organized, and these opinions might not match your decade of carefully curated folder structures, so do be aware of that as well. If you enjoy tinkering with technology, care about privacy, and don't mind being your own IT support, immich is fantastic. You'll save money long term, keep control of your data, and have something genuinely impressive to show visitors when they ask why you have a big server rack in your living room. The community is active and helpful, the development pace is impressive, and the feature set keeps on growing. It's generally good software that happens to be free and open source. But if you do just want photos backed up without thinking about storage templates, backup strategies, or hardware requirements, maybe stick with cloud services for now, since immich does require a baseline technical competence and the willingness to read documentation. Look, I've tried a lot of self-hosted photo solutions, and most maybe want to go back to paying monthly subscriptions, but immich is different. It's actually good enough to daily drive, with features that rival commercial services. Will it replace cloud storage for everyone? Probably not, but for those of us who care about privacy, enjoy learning new tech, and want to actually own our digital memories, it's a genuinely impressive piece of software. If this convinced you to try immich, document your inevitable struggles in the comments. Misery loves company. And if you want more self-hosting content, as well as want to know more about different projects that do exist in the community, hit that subscribe button. Now go forth and liberate your photos from their cloud prisons. Your future self will either thank you or make you question your life choices. Perhaps even both.